Welcome, everybody, to the PHDJ podcast. My name is Mike.
And it's Joe Bunn, and it's nighttime.
That's right. Joe and I are recording. We usually do Wednesday mornings. Wednesday at 6 p.m. my time or our time is the first time we could get to it. And it's your fault, Joe. Tell me about your day. What time did your day start and in what state?
Sidebar. John Young has already been going, hey, where are the recordings?
I know John was like, hey, did you guys record today? Where's the tape? Which it just shows he's on top of things.
He is on top. He likes the content.
That's
John
right.
Young, thank you.
That's right.
Disc Jockey News plug. I started the day in Richmond, Virginia, because I was there all day yesterday. By the way, it snowed like crazy, which I didn't even know what snow looked like anymore. With my guy Frank there in the Bunn DJ company office, working on 2020 game plan. And then I got up this morning about 7 and I drove back to Raleigh and was on the phone for, I think, 4 hours straight doing consulting calls with DJs across the beautiful United States, and got off the phone and then took a bunch of pictures with these new EV speakers that I will be posting very soon, hopefully. And then as he was basically shooting the pictures, a bride and groom walked in for a 5 o'clock consultation, and then they walked out, and now I'm on the phone with Mike Walter.
Wow. And now we're going to record 2 podcasts.
Oh, and then after that,
you still have
after this, we have a full staff meeting. I'm going to try and do it all online tonight. So a virtual meeting on Zoom, and then the Vault webinar with an SEO expert at 8 p.m.
So if Joe looks fatigued, if you're watching this on video, if Joe looks fatigued, there is a reason.
There's a reason.
And if I look a little fatigued, there's a reason too. And I wanted to start with a little PSA.
Okay.
Can you see this on my sweater?
I can. I make a difference.
I donated blood today.
Oh.
And I want to give a PSA because I don't think enough people donate blood who
I agree.
Do. It took me less than 90 minutes. I was probably an hour and 10 minutes from the time I showed up at American Red Cross, the time I was back out in the parking lot.
Okay.
It is an incredibly selfless thing that you can do. The one thing you guarantee that people who need blood need it desperately.
Yeah.
So if you can donate blood, if you're healthy enough, and especially people like you and I who work for ourselves, we can make our own schedule. I just took basically an extended lunch today and donated blood. And so quick PSA to all the listeners of this podcast, if you're healthy enough, I would love to see you donate blood, and you can tag me in your post and say, I did it, Mike. I gave a pint.
Mike, real talk. How did you feel at the end of it?
I feel great. I donate blood regularly. I was only joking about looking fatigued. Yeah, I mean, I don't get dizzy. I don't get weak.
The blood sugar thing. Okay.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I'll run tomorrow normally. I wouldn't have run, right after it.
No, right.
I did my morning run this morning, and I'll run tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, if you're a healthy enough person, 1 pint doesn't really make a difference.
All right. I'm putting that on my must do before the end of the year.
Good. Before the end of the year, donate. And then, I mean, if you want to get manic about it, I think you can donate as often as every other month. So you could literally donate 6 pints a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not
and
know
Kelly
that.
is much better than I am with it. She basically, as soon as she's ready, she does it again. I think this is only the second time I've donated this year, but I try to do it as often as possible. So yeah, do it.
PSA, baby.
Yeah, little PSA. All right.
Like
so topics.
Yes. What are we talking about?
I pulled both of these from Facebook as I often do. I often see a topic on Facebook and I start to weigh in, and then I go, nah, let me wait on that. So Peter Mary put up a post recently about he was shaking his head. He couldn't believe that somebody had put up a post. I don't want to read this whole thing because reading is boring, but basically someone had put up a post. A client had given them a video of a horrible DJ in their market and said, we just want to make sure your intros aren't like this. And he said, not at all, blah, blah, blah. But then he threw that video away. Peter's post was he was shaking his head because this guy threw out something that was gold that you could use in future sales appointments. And I and a few other people weighed in on this post and said, absolutely no way would I ever do something like that. So I'm interested with you, Joe. If you had video of one of your competitors, basically screwing up a party, horrible intros or a bad mix or an empty dance floor or whatever your definition of something that would put the fear of God into a bride, would you show that in a sales appointment?
No, no way. There's a couple of, let me elaborate. So there's no way that I would share that video, even though the little devil in me would want to. I'll go even further. Even if I knew that guy was in Wichita, Kansas, I don't think I would show that video, especially with how you and I are perceived in the mobile DJ industry. Right. I just think it would be, younger Joe Bunn would have been like, this is absolute
really, you
gold.
would have been all over that.
I think so. Like,
well, it's so funny you use the word gold, because that's what Peter Merry called it. He was like, that guy threw away gold. And I had to stop, because I respect the hell out of Peter Merry, and you know, I think he's done some incredible things in this industry. So I had to stop and say, wow, yeah, but I just couldn't picture a scenario. And to be honest with you, Joe, it doesn't have to do with my stature in this industry. I wouldn't want Dominic to do that. I wouldn't want Chris A to do that. No. I just think that kind of negative selling is not positive. I know that sounds like a complete delusion, but you know,
yeah, man. I don't know. There's a lot of I have a lot of different feelings about it. I mean, I think it's, one is the position I'm in the industry. Two is I just don't think I need it. I think at the end of the day, Mike, it goes back to the Nightmare DJ video. Like, we staged that whole thing. I hired that actor. Remember that video where?
But you created that.
I did. I created it though.
Footage, right? And then how often did you show it? Was that something that led a sales appointment?
It would usually close out as kind of a ha-ha, don't let your, because the end, if you remember, it would go through this whole Nightmare DJ scenario where he called the bride the wrong name. He made up a really bad line dance.
Stole the attention in the middle of the dance floor.
He was eating chicken wings outside, smoking cigs. And then it said, you know, but Bunn DJs are like this. And then it showed all this gorgeous footage from weddings we had done that year. And so it was definitely a sales piece. I remember posting it and letting people see it. I even remember at the time, because I'd spent so much money on it, several people were like, can we buy the footage and then just change the ending to Elite Entertainment or whatever? And I sold it to a few people across the country, and they used it for a sales piece. So I'm, you know, and everything that DJ, who was really an actor, did was definitely pulled from stories I had heard over my career.
Right, but don't you think it's so over the top that everyone who saw that realized it was spoof or not? Do you think any bride saw that and thought, oh, this is a DJ in this is a national DJ?
I actually put a disclaimer at the beginning in white text that said this is a parody of things that we've heard about or something. Like, I kind of made it clear that it was not a real guy. So yes, but at the end of the day, it's similar to what you're saying, but it's not. I would never out. I mean, even when Randy Bartlett does those seminars and he's showing those video clips of, you know, various DJs from YouTube, it just makes me like,
yeah. And listen,
what if this guy is in the room?
If I'm wrong about this, I apologize, Randy, but I think Randy has said that he used, back in the day, he would use video footage like that.
Of a guy in his market?
Maybe not his market. I think so, because Randy has a video company, and so how else would he get footage like that other than somebody in his market? So, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't picture myself doing it. Similar to how I've said on these in this podcast that I couldn't ever picture telling a bride, we're not the right company for you. I know some DJs when they interview a bride, they're interviewing her as much as she's in her. I've never been in the scenario where I could say to a bride after a sales appointment, hey, I'd like to book you, and me go, yeah, I don't think we're the right company for you. I just couldn't picture that, and I certainly couldn't picture showing that video.
Okay, let me back
up.
I
wanted to ask you about it.
Well, hold on one second. Can I ask you this?
Yeah, sure.
As also an owner of a popular video company in a very popular DJ heavy state of New Jersey, do you ever come across, or does your editor ever come across cringeworthy moments that you go look at?
Yes.
And have you ever pulled them for training?
No. Yes.
Internal.
Yes.
Internal.
More make fun of at our monthly meeting than training.
But so I'm saying like Elite gets hired to shoot this wedding that DJ Bob is doing.
Right. Okay, and if DJ Bob shits the bed, we are going to show that at the next monthly meeting, but not necessarily for training purposes. Just like look at what Bob did. Yeah. Okay. So, and we'll all have some fun with that and crack up and everything else. But other than that, we wouldn't that the footage goes nowhere else.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And P.S., I think I've shared with you, we have a closed Facebook group now for our staff. Right. And so it would probably go up there.
Go in there. Right.
I'm often putting stuff up there, and Tom and Chris edit the videos. So they're often putting stuff up there as well of, not necessarily competitors, but something funny that happened at a wedding that we just saw a clip of. And, you know what I mean, that we could never show to the general public or share publicly, but we just have some fun with it. I think it's if you haven't done that, if you're listening to this and you're a multi-app owner and you haven't set up a closed Facebook group, I think it's fun to do. It's just a great way. It's like, it's like a Google Hangout type of thing. It just gives your staff a place to vent. There are a couple of banquet halls in our area that we all kind of hate playing at. And so, sometimes one of our guys will be there and he'll put up a picture of a banquet hall and be like, can you believe this place? Just stupid things like that that I would never want in the general public, but that we all can kick around.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So I kind of knew this topic wouldn't take up the whole time. So I brought a secondary one. And this comes from a post that I saw on Facebook. And I thought it was one of those obvious questions, but maybe it's not so obvious. Or maybe the first answer is obvious and then there's a little bit more in depth. Somebody wrote, what does, quote, read the crowd, unquote, mean? And how do you actually do it? We talk all the time about being a great DJ and being a great programmer. Yeah. Reading the crowd. What does that mean to Joe Bunn?
Reading the crowd to me literally means from the minute they walk in. So my first read is demographics, and mainly age, the age demographic. So what am I working with here? Because again, a lot of younger couples their wedding is dominated heavily by older guests. Like their parents got to pull more than they got to pull, or they didn't. Maybe they went to a smaller college or whatever. I'm not saying these people don't have friends. I'm just saying. And so that's the first thing I look at. What age range am I working with here? Then
hold on. I want you to continue, but I want to put a little caveat in there because I agree with you. I have noticed if you're playing music for the ceremony, and you start that process in the ceremony, notice this. A lot of young people don't come to the ceremony. So a lot of times you'll notice, like you'll look in the ceremony and you'll go, oh, this is like 80% old people. And then at cocktail hour, you'll notice it's now 50-50. So just don't be too judgmental at ceremony. That's
don't pull the trigger too early. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
And then my read goes into cocktail hour, as Mike was just speaking about. And what is their reaction to what's being played? So is there, well, my first thing is I hate it when a crowd walks into a room. Let's just say the cocktail room is in the same room as the party, and they walk in and sit down. To me, I'm like, oh, hell.
Bad sign.
Yeah, bad sign. Right. But if there's a lot of standing around, a lot of toe tapping, I can see people singing along with the music, or they're looking over at me like, okay, yeah, like you get this, then that's my other, read. Even through dinner, like how is that mix? How are they responding to it? Are people coming up telling me they like the music? Are they tapping their foot under the table? Are some people, again, we don't do a lot of dancing during dinner as y'all do, but are they getting up and, grab their wife or whatever and dance to Al Green, Let's Stay Together or something like that.
Right.
And then again, the real reading the crowd for me is all about when the dancing starts. Head up, stop burying your face in your laptop, smile, look at the dance floor, see what the reactions are, especially if you have a thin playlist from the couple, and then build from those reactions. Those first 5-6 songs to me are imperative to learn where this thing is going.
Cool. So I think everything you said was gold. I'll add a few more things to it. As far as judging a crowd and determining whether it's going to, or guessing whether it's going to be a good night or bad night, a lot of it for me is the energy in intros. When I'm introducing the bridal party, the parents and couples,
great point.
If I feel like I have to raise the volume because the cheering and clapping is so loud, that's a good sign. If I'm getting a golf clap reaction to everything I'm saying, that makes me worry a little little bit, and it makes me, realize, okay, I'm gonna have to roll my sleeves up here and get to work with this crowd.
Yep.
Maybe they're the enthusiasm.
Or you're using a lot more prompts like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm begging for that applause, then it tells me, and that doesn't mean I'm going to give up on them, but it means, oh, okay, I might have some work cut out for me.
Right.
And then the second thing I'll add to it, and this is something that a few of our videographers have pointed out to me, especially the ones who edit.
Yeah.
They have said to me, there's a difference between people on the dance floor and people dancing on the dance floor. And since I've heard that a couple of years ago, I've become very keen to it. Sometimes you have people out there, but they're not really moving around. And that doesn't look good on video. On video, and I've seen it now. Like, now that I'm looking for that, like, people, and especially with phones nowadays, I mean, you'll see 4 people standing on the edge of the dance floor and they're looking at their phones. Like, those people to me aren't dancing. So if you're judging and trying to read your crowd based on who's on the dance floor, I would also take that to the next level and say, who's dancing on the dance floor? And so if you've got 30 people out on the dance floor and 20 of them are older and 10 of them are younger, and half of those younger people are staring at the phones, not even moving, and I would maybe play a Motown song or another oldies or even a 70s song, because I've got a predominantly older crowd out there. So that's, to me, part of reading it is not just who's on the dance floor, but what's their energy level on the dance floor.
Wow. I see what you're saying. Go ahead. Keep going.
I was also going to say, when it comes to that, I would always rather end a dance set one song too early rather than one song too late. So I'm very keen to, the energy is sapping away.
Yep.
And if I play one more upbeat song, I might clear the floor. So if I make that, and who knows, I could have been wrong. That's a guess that we all make. But if I feel that way, I would rather snap off that set and either slow it down or clear it for dinner or whatever, than to risk one more song. I would rather, I want to determine when the dance set ends, not them.
Me too, dude. I've actually, I filmed for the Vault release next month, a very truncated a wedding with Mike Walter, Joe Bunn edition, and in a much poorer MC version.
Okay.
But literally, I just had the camera sitting here, and I had a lavalier mic. But I bet, I haven't watched the footage back yet, but I bet that there are a lot of things. I talk to myself. I know I'm talking to myself. Nobody can really tell I'm talking to myself, but I've actually caught myself out loud saying, "You went one song too long, bro."
Right.
Like, actually saying that and be like, now I gotta go ballad, and then I gotta pick it back up with a banger or whatever. But
I've heard general managers say that in sports too. It's better to trade a player one season too early than one season too late.
Like,
it's better to sell a stock, a week early than it is a week late. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Like Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam. Right, exactly. I mean, Cam's value at this point, if you traded him during the offseason, you would have gotten something great for him.
Yep.
Now, not so much. So I kind of have the same philosophy when it comes to dance sets.
Agreed.
I'd rather snap it off 2 minutes earlier than 3 minutes later and then have them clear the floor on me.
Mike, let me just sidebar this conversation for a minute, or not sidebar, but segue into just a little part here. Do you have nights and crowds that are so, I don't want to use the word segregated, but I guess that is the right word, where the young people will only dance to, let's say, 2000 to present day, and the older people will only dance to older?
Some, but you know what I have found? If you win, I hate it too, but what I have found, if you win the older people over early, a lot of times they'll hang for later in the night.
I agree, so, but I've had that, where.
But yes, there are definitely crowds where the older people, they're not getting up to anything from 1980 onwards.
Yeah.
And the younger people are not getting up to, anything from 2000 or, before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not great. I've also had ethnic groups like that. I think I've talked about this. I'll never forget a wedding I did. The groom's family was Middle Eastern and the bride's family was Latina. Her side of the family danced to everything. His side of the family only danced when I played the Middle Eastern music.
Oh, wow.
And like, I just thought to myself, her side was up for every song, American, Latin, Middle Eastern. It was only when I played their music that the groom side got up. So some families are just like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Man, this was good.
This was good. I think those are two good, quick, what do we call it? A potpourri type of podcast, but good mix of, good Good one.
Fantastic. Anything else to add, Mike?
I think that's it.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, we're going to say that's right. I'm going to see you next week in Arizona. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too, brother.
All
right. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Ciao.